In this edition of the Prep Rally Podcast, we talk about week 1 of the high school football playoffs, and we also give you a little preview of National Signing Day.
It's the Prep Rally Podcast, the only podcast in the state dedicated to prep sports. Brought to you by the Northwest Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Here's your host, Chip Souza.
This is the Prep Rally Podcast. I'm Chip Souza, joined by Rick Fires Day, who's up and early this morning on this national holiday. Also got Leland Barclay here down in the River Valley. This is a national holiday, right, Leland? National Signing Day is a national holiday.
Oh, absolutely. This and the first Wednesday in February.
Yeah, I think schools were out today maybe for – no, I'm just kidding about that. But it is a national holiday for me, and I've been doing this, Rick, I think you and I about the same years, 1981 for me, 84 full-time, 81 as a stringer, that kind of thing. So we've been around a National Signing Day or two, and I have always loved Signing Day.
The thing, it's hectic. Try to get photos. Try to get, if you at a school, multiple people signing, like over at Fayetteville today. You get this person, get that person. But when you step back, it's just a great day for the parents, for the kids. Something they've worked their whole lives for. Their parents back there supporting them. When they're little kids, driving them to the game, getting them a hot dog, taking McDonald's at the win or loss. It's been a long process for them, and it gets to pay off when they sit down there and sign a letter of intent. And so you're exactly right. It's an exciting day.
Exactly. So just a few of the highlights today on signing. Leland Barclay will be covering a signing down at Fort Smith Southside today. David Sorg, who would have been their quarterback this year had he not suffered an injury in baseball, is signing a baseball letter of intent with the University of Oklahoma, a national runner-up last year. They made it to the championship series of the College World Series. Skip Johnson is their coach down there. And so David Sorg, a big, tall, 6'5", right-handed pitcher, will be signing with Oklahoma today. Also up in Northwest Arkansas, Jenna Lawrence, 6'2", 6'3", senior at Farmington, is going to be signing with the University of Arkansas today to play basketball. So we got that one going on. Fayetteville, Ricky, has 6 girls signing volleyball today.
They're that good.
That good, including Kennedy Phelan, who's signing with Stanford.
Wow.
So we got that going on today, and we got lots and lots of other signings going on. It's a big day, and Rick, like you mentioned, it's a great day for the parents, great day for the kids who spent many, many hours, lots and lots of money growing up and playing their sport. And we just want to congratulate them and wish them nothing but the best of luck in their careers at the next level.
And Sorg, it's unfortunate he missed this senior year at football player, but it's great that he's going to get to continue his athletic ability, get an education at the next level, even if it is over there across the border.
Yeah. So good day, big day, National Signing Day. Now, this is non-football signing today, so if you're listening and you're wondering what about this player and that player signing football, that signing day, the early signing day, comes in December, and then the official reels, I mean, they're all real, I guess, Leland, but, the one, the old school signing day, I don't know what you'd call it. Anyway, is in February.
First Wednesday in February.
Yeah. So you have the early signing day in December, and then the later signing day in February. It's a little bit confusing, but it is what it is.
Because they've changed it a couple of times.
Well, and the reason they changed it and made an early signing day is for the kids who are early enrollees, who are going to enroll in January. They have their signing day in December, and they're free to, if they want to, enroll early. If you remember last year, Isaiah Satania did sign in December, but he didn't enroll early at Arkansas. So you could still play in the spring or whatever, even if you signed in December. But it really is for those kids who want to early enroll.
And I hope the coaches are getting these standout high school players. I'm almost tired of the transfer portal, just coaches looking at transfer and recruiting off there. No, go out and get these young kids and, mold them yourself instead of just going and get some kid who's got 1 year at eligibility. What good does that do you?
Yeah, well, the transfer portal is a show for another day, for sure. So National Signing Day today for non-football, and again, congratulations to those kids. Now, let's shift our focus to the first round of the football playoffs.
Woohoo.
Leland, we're going to start down there with you. We're going to toss the ball over. I'm going to send you out on an out and up on this one. Rick, block for me. Give me a little protection. Give me a little time here.
I got
Give
you.
me a little time here. North side. I'm looking at the 7A playoff first round, and this is an intriguing game. Fort Smith Northside at Rogers.
Well, if you remember last year, same situation, north side a 5 seed, goes to Harbor a 4 seed,
Yes.
and wins that game.
Yes.
So I always love the playoffs and the matchups because we had the East and West and Central and West and all those matchups to kind of compare conferences. And it's always interesting to look at the West versus the Central matchups. Now, I know Northside borders the Arkansas River, but it is a Central matchup. But to finish 5th in that conference, to go up against a 4 seed from the West, but let's remember, Rogers did finish tied for 2nd
Yes.
in the 7A West. So even that part of it is a little bit misleading because Rogers is not, I don't think, technically the 4th best team in the West. But still, it's an interesting matchup, especially the fact that Rogers, after Jacob Jenkins, rushed for a, conference record, 256 yards last week, they've proven they can run it and pass it. So they're certainly going to be a threat, and it'll be interesting to see if Northside can slow them down defensively, especially with R.J. Lester and linebacker Julius Thomas. And McLean Moody now, I think this will be his 4th game to start at quarterback, so he may be getting a little more, acclimated, and we'll see. But you're right, this is one of the more intriguing first-round games in all of the state, especially 7A.
So Rogers, for the second year in a row, Rick, will host a playoff game. They had not hosted a playoff game in like 8, 9, 10, 12 years, and till last year, maybe even longer than that. So last year they hosted. This year they're hosting again. Like Leland said, they record-wise did finish tied for 2nd in the conference, have a win over Fayetteville. So good season for them. Chad Harbison's doing a great job over there at Rogers, they're stacked offensively. But something that's kind of gone under the radar is their defense has also played pretty well.
You know what? I just finished the football town series, and I left Rogers out because they hadn't shown anything in 20 years or so. But I think they got a shot of climbing back up, Blackie Bond during that era when Rogers was really, really tough. And Rogers had a great year. You're right. They're not the 4th best team. They're probably the 2nd best or 3rd best team. But it's going to depend a lot how they're going to do in the playoffs. And right here, that's a winnable game for them. I know Northside's going to make it tough on them, but this is a game that Rogers should win, needs to win.
Well, that'll be a good one. That's definitely one to watch. Also, we've got Bentonville West hosting Jonesboro on Friday. Now, Bentonville West coming in off of a loss to Bentonville, 24-10. But this was a kind of a strange game. Ricky and I covered that last Thursday night.
Yeah.
It was a scoreless tie in the second half. Neither team scored in the second half. Bentonville West had opportunities. Also, when Bentonville West lost to Fayetteville, they had opportunities, didn't take advantage of them. Had opportunities Friday night against Bentonville, didn't take advantage of them. So you kind of got to wonder, is Bentonville West capable of winning the playoff game and winning this game and moving on, because they've been given chances and they haven't taken advantage of it. You got to capitalize on chances.
This is another game. If you want to establish yourself statewide, this is a game. Jonesboro's 3-7. I think I read 3-7. I'm from Northeast Arkansas. I've always looked at Jonesboro, that area of the basketball school. West is going to be at home, and there's no reason they shouldn't win this game. So I'm looking for West right there.
So that's another one to watch. Now we're going to skip down to Class 5A. This was kind of a weird thing that happened, Leland, at the Farmington Prairie Grove game, which was actually played on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock at Farmington. Farmington got their quarterback Cameron Van Zant back, and they opened up the first half like gangbusters. Van Zant, second play from scrimmage, hits Peyton Funk for about 60 yards, 65 yards, touchdown. He comes back, throws another touchdown pass. They're rolling in the first half. Second half, nothing. Prairie Grove dominates the second half, totally dominates the second half. They score a touchdown with about a minute to go to make it a 41-40, get them within 41-40. go for 2 points. They don't get it, so it's 41-40. Farmington gets the ball back. If Farmington wins the game by 7 or more, they go to the 3 seed, and Prairie Grove falls to I believe, Leland, the 4 seed.
Yes,
but because
yes.
Farmington
Harrison would have been the 2.
Yeah, Harrison would have been the 2. But because Farmington only won by 1, they are the 4 seed, and Prairie Grove maintains the 2 seed, even though they've lost back-to-back games to end the regular season.
Absolutely. And now they get to Prairie Grove gets to stay home against Batesville.
Yeah.
And that's a huge advantage. And I was at some games. I said, man, why are they trying to kick a field goal with 8 seconds left when they're behind, ahead 14 points or so? And it all comes in this tiebreaker stuff
points.
right here.
Yeah.
I mean, Henry Apple can explain all of it. I can't. I certainly can't. But, man, what a change of difference. And, Prairie Grove lost their top. Ethan Miller got hurt, and Connor Hubbs come in. And the fact that Prairie Grove unleashed a passing game on them.
They did. Now, Hubbs is an effective runner and a receiver in that game against Farmington, and was huge in coming back. But my boy Velasco, the big tight end, was also big in that game for them, and he's a big part of the Prairie Grove passing attack, if you want to call it that. Yeah. But they did have success with it. I think Hubbs caught 2 touchdown passes, I believe, and Velasco he took one to the house long, like 75 yards. On a tight end
so
pass.
He can run, huh?
He can run, yeah.
Dylan Sainer kind of kid?
He's a big old boy, too.
Big old boy.
Big old boy. So Prairie Grove has found a little passing attack here in the last couple of weeks. That'll be a good one, Rick. You're covering that one. But these are, Leland, as you mentioned, 2 ground and pound-oriented teams. So, Rick, your game may go fast. I'm kind of jealous of you.
So you're saying I can make a last call, or at least get through the drive-through window before it closes?
Maybe so. Maybe so.
Right.
You'll be the first one that can call into Rex Nelson's show. In fact, you may be waiting on it to start. They had a running back early in the year that had a monster game. They're Ryan Morrow, a Batesville graduate, is in his first year as a head coach, which is a nice contrast to Danny Absher, who's in his 30th year as the head coach at Prairie Grove.
Absolutely.
So that's a nice contrast in coaching history as well.
Yes. Also want to mention Shiloh Christian will be hosting Nettleton. Harrison goes on the road to win. So that's going on in 5A. So let's skip down to 4A, where Elkins won the 4A1 conference. They get a bye this week, so they get to rest up a little bit. But we've got some other games going on, including a home game at Gravett. Rick, now Gravett hasn't hosted a playoff game in a long, long time, but they're going to be hosting DeWitt in what should be a really good 4A playoff game, Leland.
Oh, absolutely. Gravett kind of, I think, surprised us all a little bit. I don't know if they surprised themselves, but to get a home playoff game in the first round, like Rick said earlier, is just gigantic, especially for them.
Yes.
And let's see, Gravett beat the rival Gentry 38-35, and that forces Gentry to go to Rivercrest.
Correct.
That's way over there.
That is correct. So they're going to make a long trip over there. Lincoln going to Pocahontas.
That's another rough trip.
Another long trip. I think they've already left on Tuesday. You got Mena is going to be at Ozark. So that'll be a good one there. And then our boy Josh Jones over at Lamar, Leland, they got it done on Friday night. Friday. No, they played Friday night. They said, you know what, we're playing at Lamar. We're playing Friday night. We are playing Friday night. And they played on Friday night, and they beat CAC. And so they got the number 2 seed from the 4A4, and they're hosting Riverview. Lamar, we have a real good story, going to have a real good story in the Thursday Democrat-Gazette on Damian Hendricks, the running back at Lamar, who will come into this game with about 1,300 yards rushing. Ricky, he's another big old boy, and he is the fullback for Lamar. He's a fullback.
Oh.
So you don't see a lot of fullbacks get 1,300 yards. But he's not your average fullback. Leland, he's also a big old strong boy.
Well, he was at Media Day, and he was fun to talk to, but he is, and this is all we have to say, he's an option fullback.
Yeah.
You mean like the old Texas teams?
Well, that's
yeah.
Kind of. I mean, that tells you about his toughness. He also plays defense, and Lamar, they kind of were one of those teams that right at the end they took advantage of the tiebreaker and seized that second spot.
Yes.
And because that was a three-way tie as well.
Yes.
There were more three-way ties this year than what I can remember in a long time.
There were points, tiebreakers were in play in most conferences this year.
Yeah,
So,
and of course, the points just merely set up the head-to-head action or the head-to-head game on the field.
Yep.
That still is what decides the seeding.
As it should.
exactly. Skipping down to 3A, Greenland is on the road at Falk. What a great season, Ricky, for Lee Larkin and the Greenland Pirates. Talked to Coach Larkin this week, and he said, we knew with what we had coming back, we felt like we could be in the top, 2, 3 in the conference and win about, have a chance to win 7 or 8 games. He's gone back and kind of kicking himself a little bit over the loss in the season opener to Lincoln. He said, that's on me. I'm the reason we lost that game. But they rebounded. Finished third in the conference behind 2 teams that might quite frankly be playing for state championship games in December, losing to Booneville and to Charleston. But Greenland's had a good season, and their quarterback, Max Meredith, who's not just a quarterback, he's a power lifter and a state champion shot putter.
You know what? I kind of just dismissed them. I said, Hollingsworth, the big guy's gone. They're not going to be very good. And they weren't early. But my goodness, they've come on, and I'm going to give you a plug here in our paper today. Greenland quarterback Meredith powers teams to playoff, and he does. He's a power lifter. He won the shot put over there during the track season. So they are a very interesting team to watch. I remember watching the tape where Meredith just plowed over some guys for the game-winning 2-pointer a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
So I'm eyeballing the Pirates again.
He also gave a lot of credit to Jermaine Petty for helping him in the weight room, getting him
the former
stronger.
Razorback.
Yeah. And so helped him in the weight room. And my story centers on the fact that he said he finds a lot of peace and solace in the weight room. And Leland, I know you're a little bit of a lifter. I'm a little bit of a lifter. Ricky lifts hamburgers and hot dogs, so he's a lifter. But he said he finds solace in that, hearing the clang of that iron and just gets in there and just it's cathartic maybe for him. Is that too big a word? Maybe it's too big a word for me.
There is nothing like the sound of that second 45-pound plate being clanged up against the first one.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about that.
Where you're, that means 2 1/4, and just taking that second 45 and sliding it on there. That little clang.
Yep.
It's everybody can tell what it is.
Exactly.
I find solace in sitting at the diner and watching my cook flip them hamburgers over.
That makes the same clang,
and
right, Rick? It's the same sound.
Yeah, and see that those fries dipped over there in that hot oil.
Yeah.
That's where I find my solace.
Or the fork hitting an empty plate.
Oh,
that's
boy.
a great
That's
sound,
a
too.
great
That's
sound.
a great sound. All right, so let's skip down to staying in 3A. Charleston will be at home hosting Gurdon.
Go Devils.
The Go Devils. Charleston, of course, the champion in the 3A1 conference. Booneville also at home. They're the 2 seed from the 3A1. They're hosting Junction City. Leland, you have a nice a capsule on that game. And talk about Junction City a little bit. The Dragons coming up to Booneville.
Well, this is, Coach David Carpenter's 3rd stint as the head coach at Junction City. He'd been in administration the last 5 years. Decided to come back and coach the Dragons one last time. This will be Junction City's first trip to Booneville since 1986, when they brought a sophomore by the name of Ron Meadows, who was the state's leading rusher. Now, he ended up being a 17-year-old sophomore. He only had eligibility to play one more year. But he was one of the state's first 2,000-yard rushers.
How did he do in that game, Leland?
Booneville won 6-0.
Okay,
Oh,
so
wow.
they kind of held him, shut him down. Yeah.
Absolutely. That was the 4th year that I had been covering high school football, and the lead up to that game, the excitement, the atmosphere in that game was I don't know if I've experienced anything like it since, and it certainly whetted the appetite to to enjoy Friday nights at a high school press box, a high school football game.
Nothing better.
Because that was just a great atmosphere and a great game. And they still run the wishbone. Junction City does.
I love that. I love that. My only connection with Coach Carpenter, I covered a non-conference early spring baseball game over at Shiloh Christian several years ago, and Carpenter's son was their star pitcher for Junction City. And they came up to Northwest Arkansas to play. I don't know, I think they were playing Shiloh one day and maybe Farmington the next day and something like that, kind of trying to come up here. So it's like a spring break little trip for them. And they were going to play 2-3 games over a couple of 2 or 3 days and then go back. But that's the only time I've ever covered Coach Carpenter. And it seems like Ricky just a good old boy.
You know what? And I don't know how good Junction City is, but anytime you go up against Junction, where it says Junction City, they're a traditional power in Arkansas.
Yeah, absolutely.
They just athletes all over the field.
And Coach Carpenter's a big reason why.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Boonville. Go ahead.
He's kind of their strength guy too. He loves the strength aspect. So I've got to talk to him every year at the state weightlifting meet. So I make it a point to go talk to him.
Yeah, yeah.
And we talk about the wishbone. Gurdon is also a wishbone team, and that's what Charleston's going up against.
I love it.
Gurdon has thrown 33 passes this year.
Wow.
For about 180 yards?
Maybe. Not that much, probably.
Well, they've actually thrown, I think, 5 touchdown passes.
Whoa.
So they're averaging 17.7 yards per completion. Yeah. So it's kind of one of those things, they lull you to sleep.
Yep.
And then they sneak somebody out there and
rolled over your head.
Charleston, in fact, Coach Ricky May said they were working on some pass defense this week, so that has not gone unnoticed by Charleston.
Okay.
I covered a team in Texas, Ricky, in 1987, that ran the wishbone. All 4 backs had over 1,000 yards. One had 2,000 yards. The quarterback had 1,000. Both halfbacks had 1,000. Fullback and quarterback both had 1,000. One halfback had 2,000. The other one was right at 1,000. So that's that's how good they were. And in one game I covered, they had, and I will never forget this, they had 656 yards rushing as a team in a game.
I remember the old wishbone. I remember the precision.
Yes.
When to give it up, when to get and the cross block, and it's not a simple game.
No.
I mean, you got to know your assignment.
You miss one assignment in the wishbone, it's boom.
Like a house of cards or something.
Yeah, I love it. The fullback was in the 4-point stance, low and a 4-point stance, you got to be tough to run the wishbone. That's a tough guys offense. Because it's built on contact.
Yes.
It's based on contact. And I love it. And those teams that stick to the wishbone and run it well, it's like watching a Lamborghini. If that quarterback is deceptive with his handoffs, it's like watching a Lamborghini run. It's about as smooth as it gets.
Now, in the old days, it to me is like, playing, like you said, you got to be tough. It was played in like a phone booth is what they say now. And I got enticed by the wide open, the Gus Malzahn, defend every inch of the field. But now as a sports writer, when I'm on deadline, I love a wishbone team.
And the wing tee, Danny Epps' wing tee. Yeah. So we got that game. We got also Lavaca on the road to Center Point in the 3A playoffs. Mansfield on the road at Fordyce in 3A. So a lot of teams we got in this area in 3A. Skipping down to 2A, we have a couple of teams that are playing Magazine. The number 4 team in the 2A1, they are at Des Arc. Just a lot of good high school football playoff time, and we're supposed to actually have really good cold weather this weekend.
Oh, sweet. Love it. Hey, caramel apple for me.
Yes, sir. A little hot chocolate.
It is going to feel like playoff football on Friday night.
It is, and I cannot wait. And this is the real season. This is when you eliminate the pretenders from the contenders.
This is when you get a second shot, even for a team like our friends over at Springdale Harbor, 1-9.
Yeah. He's like on the guy on Lloyd on. I think it's Lloyd on Dumb and Dumber who says, "So you're saying I got a chance?"
This is your chance right here. So
you're saying I got a chance. So good time for high school football. If you hadn't been out to a game yet this year, get out this weekend. Get you little extra layer of clothes on, and get out there and support your teams and go watch some great high school football.
Now,
Well, and
go ahead.
you look at each bracket, and there's certain questions. I think like 7A. Can anybody beat Bryant? What do you guys think? I mean,
I'm gonna tell you right now, Leland, Fayetteville is dangerous.
They are.
They're dangerous.
See, and I think Cabot and Conway both played them very well. Not great, but played them pretty close. So you've got them, and then Bentonville. You've got the running attack of Josh Ficklin.
Yeah.
And Carter Nye has proven that he can throw the ball. And Bentonville plays good defense. So I think there's some teams out there that can give Bryant.
I think it's closer than it
troubles.
has been, Leland. I think the opportunities are there more than they have been the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
Yep. And
now defensively, they're very good.
Yeah, they are.
Defensively, they're very good.
Yeah.
And then in 6A, Greenwood lost Friday night. That game really meant nothing. Now, I know it's a game. Little Rock Christian played very well, but the seedings was already decided. And you look at, possible matchups, Greenwood could host Benton because Benton switched to another conference this year.
Right.
And then you've got, how about possibly PA at Catholic in the semifinals?
That would be a great one, man.
That one's wide open.
They get a big crowd at War Memorial. They play that at War Memorial probably? No?
Yeah, they'll play that at War Memorial. And then in 5A, you've got Robinson, Shiloh Christian, and Parkview, who all are new to the classification. Parkview comes down from 6A. Shiloh Christian and Robinson, they really haven't missed a beat, even going from 4A up to 5A. So there's some great, intriguing, questions in all the brackets to look at.
Love it.
Leland, I'd like to ask you, Little Rock Catholic, aren't they? Do you think they got a chance in 6A? Go make a deep run?
They got the 6-0, and I thought, well, okay, they're pretty good. They're having a great year. They've got a veteran quarterback, Sam Sanders, who's having a great year, a very good receiver, and I thought, well, okay, they're pretty good. The last 2 weeks are the two games that have convinced me because I didn't think they'd win either one of those, and they handled El Dorado no problem. They handled Marion no problem. Mm-hmm. So now they're undefeated. So, it's that Catholic PA game, if those teams take care of business, and they both got first-round byes, so they only have to win. They have to win one game to get to that semifinal. But that game could be one of the more interesting games in all of the playoffs. But to answer your question, they wouldn't surprise me anymore because the last 2 weeks are the 2 weeks that's made a believer out of me for Catholic.
Now I'm looking at this first round game, El Dorado, defending state champions, at Little Rock Christian, a team making a move, made the move because the competitive equity factor up from 5A to 6A. I saw them play in the opener. They're very, very capable. Little Rock Christian, very, very capable. That's going to be a great game too, Leland. Great game.
Well, Friday night, Little Rock Christian beat Greenwood 49-35. The running back, Anokie, 208 yards and a touchdown rushing, and then Walker White threw for 175 and 2 touchdowns and ran for 161 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
so
they're very capable.
They lost 2 games early in conference to Lake Hamilton and to PA, and I think everybody kind of wrote them off. And that kind of told everybody too, the 6A West is a 3-team race, not a 4-team race. But I think Little Rock Christian still has to, be, considered maybe.
Yeah. So lots and lots of good games, and get out and catch some high school football. First round of the playoffs this week, and Leland, I cannot wait. Rick. I can't wait to get out there. Man, it's gonna be some great games Friday night. I'm gonna be at the Rogers Northside game. Ricky's going over to Prairie Grove, Batesville, and Leland, which game? I forget which game you're at. You were at Boonville, correct?
I had to take the Junction City Boonville game just because of the history
Yes.
and the fact that it was 36 years ago when I was down there for the Junction City Boonville game.
go.
So I took that one. Harold's going to be in Ozark.
Yep.
And then Walter is going to be in Charleston.
Okay.
So
So
Harold gets Rivertown barbecue.
there you go. Well,
And the thing I love on that Friday, if you're driving around somewhere and you see them yellow dog buses, you know something's up.
Know something up, yep.
The playoffs have started.
yep.
Well, about just a little bit over half of the teams in the state make the playoffs. So senior night was the last night that a lot of these kids got to play. Well, Friday night, another half will be eliminated. So
That's right.
So the high school seasons for a lot of seniors is coming to an end.
Well, that will wrap up this edition of the Prep Rally Podcast. We thank you for listening to us every week. And, of course, we'll be back next week to talk about what happened in the first round of the high school football playoffs. And we'll also take a look at round 2 when the teams who got byes
The big
this
dogs.
week, the big dogs will be in action next week. So for Leland Barclay down the River Valley, for Rick Fires, I'm Chip Sousa. Thanks for listening to the Prep Rally Podcast. Next week, same bat time, same bat channel.
The Prep Rally Podcast is produced and directed by the Northwest Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Find us on SoundCloud, Apple, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher.